I'm Frank Spicer, co-founder and CEO of Metafied. With me, we have Matt Cross, Chief Business Development Officer, and our trusty mod, Roaming Crypto. Today, we talked a lot about the Genius Act and what its implications are for the future of finance, especially as crypto becomes mainstream. We talked about the SEC guidance on what is going to be allowed for crypto offerings and on-ramps. And we also talked about the CFTC SEC joint meeting on September 29th. So a lot to go through. Also, we gave a little bit of a hint as to what's coming next and announced our partnership with MonkeyDAO. As far as the good news, Matt, you want to go through the MonkeyDAO offering?
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. So as you know, MonkeyDAO is one of the top communities on Solana. I would say, they're relevant as Bored Apes or Pudgy Penguins. They've been early. They have all the OGs in the space. And what they've been doing is they've been launching out a community program to find the best companies in the space, possibly grant them with some funding. They're granting them with monkeys and access to the community. And then they're also helping projects, being an advocate for them, and then helping get early community members in. So we're part of their new program, which is Build with MonkeyDAO. So we're excited about that. And, we're trying to bring in now the rest of the community to start participating in our alpha. We're going to be dropping some rewards for the people who have monkeys, and we're going to be having a lot of fun while doing it.
That's right. Yeah, and we're diamond hands when it comes to our monkeys, so we're not getting rid of that anytime soon. We're going to keep it. So yeah, well, how do you think today's space went, Romy?
Well, I think it was a great space full of some very interesting information. As Matt was touching on, I think it's a super exciting announcement that came out today, and the community is absolutely buzzing about it. Everyone came rushing back in, full of questions and excitement as to what that meant. I think there was a lot of excitement around the space as well, and the clarity. The clarity that those conversations have, like the team diving into the new regulations and the updates from SEC, etc., is a big reason why the community turn up every week or twice a week to these spaces, is to hear you guys unpack those really important events. And today's was definitely one of those.
There's a lot going on too, and I spent a little bit of time today talking about almost the creation of a new money type at the edge, where it's money that's on the edge that's fully backed one-to-one. So, essentially it would be maybe M4 money. So you have MZM, M1, M2, M3, and then this is almost like a new fully backed by either T-bills or US dollars one-to-one on the edge that funnels and feeds into these type of innovative products involving stable tokens, where typically you have things being serviced out of banks that are fractionally backed. So if you go to a bank, I want my dollars out. It's like, oh, we don't have all the dollars in the bank. It could cause a bank run or a cascading credit default. Whereas if you have these facilities out on the edge, essentially they're fully redeemable, and you could withdraw everything from it and it would still be okay because you would have every single dollar back that was put into it. So we talked about how that's probably going to shift some stability to the edge, but probably gut the middle to some degree, where the banks that have been issuing loans where the people get paid based on how many of the loans they issue, that business is kind of going to compete a little bit with this new type of funding that's going to be on the edge, because it's going to be more stable and more innovative and have more access to micro audiences or micro type loans or micro type facilities. So there's probably going to be a better return on capital out there. You're just going to have to do it in a bunch of different places. But in the middle, after they've loaned to all the really good lending candidates, they start lending to people who are not that great, not that trustworthy, not projects that aren't that great, that don't have that much to return. And then that business will be underserved. And Matt brought up a pretty good point, which is it looks like it might be filled by banks creating their own type of instruments that extend credit in a different way, that's not really backed by the US dollar, but who are too big to fail, so they will eventually be bailed out by the US dollar, which is going to be not that great for anybody. So hopefully we can avoid that. And do I have that right, Matt? Like we talked about that a little bit.
Yeah, we did. We talked about some of these digital deposits, which might on paper represent a dollar, but might not always be backed by a true dollar. And one of the great innovations we've talked about in blockchain is changing the velocity of money. And now, with the combination of velocity of money increasing and the ability to issue out more digital dollars, what does that mean now? Where you can possibly have a faster collapse, or you can issue out more in a greater period of time, and then eventually you build a house of cards, which would end up hurting all of us, creating some type of inflation, and then being a tax on you and me at the end of the day.
Yeah, I completely spaced too. I forgot one of the major implications of all this, which is changing from a banking hours world, a US banking hours world, to a 24/7, 365, always on, transfer market, which that is going to be pretty tough to model what that looks like. We know it's going to increase the volume of money being transferred and definitely the velocity of money because you have more places for it to go. But that's going to be a totally different world as that starts to become more mainstream. So as there's facilities to move dollars that are in stable tokens and in crypto, the banks become almost like a roadblock, right? So they're going to have to adapt or suffer the consequences, and I don't think they're going to be too keen to just sit there and let that happen to them. So we'll see how they fight back, and my guess it's going to be through restrictions and regulations lobbying. So we'll see how fast crypto can get out there and start to make a difference. And it's kind of incumbent on a bunch of us to make sure we do it the right way, because you only really get one crack at this. Because if we don't do it right, it's probably going to be replaced by something like a CBDC, and that's not going to be good for any of us except to get tracked and surveilled. So I'm not looking forward to people paying even more closely attention to my writings and my opinions. But people shouldn't pay that close attention to them anyway. But I don't want them. I don't want them to give them incentives to be even more closely inspecting my hot takes. We know that could be a little dangerous. What about you, Roman? You seem like a fairly easygoing guy. Are you worried about having nothing to hide and still needing to hide it, or what?
I think the concept that you shouldn't care about being tracked if you've got nothing to hide is not the philosophy that I think should operate the world. I believe that we should have a more human approach to things, and the concept of let's have a currency out there where the people in power can track every micro movement of anything, and control that is not a world that I'm keen to live in.
No, we don't need, like, we definitely don't want to build a thing where you say something that's slightly offensive to somebody and they press a button and shut you out of the economic system, right? Like that's the opposite of what we're going for. Like the censorship resistant qualities of a decentralized blockchain are one of the best things about it. Like you can't roll up to Bitcoin's office and shut it down, right? Because it's decentralized. But you could theoretically, if they have the ability to claw back and block you out of the system, they could just like take your node and turn it off if it's a centrally controlled system. So make sure that if you're out there and you're in one of these debates, there is a huge difference between a centralized digital currency and a decentralized blockchain token, right? Like they're about as opposite as you can get. They just happen to exist by way of electricity. Maybe that's all they have in common, right? So I would say let's be careful that we don't introduce a way for them to slip in the CBDC. So as far as everything else, we talked about having the Monkey DAO and Solana communities join us. The plan is to still roll out on base very soon. That announcement forthcoming. Yes. We'll team up with Dojo S when the time is right. And we're going to announce a couple other partner chains in the week or two to come. So stay tuned. It's going to be big news around MetaFide and for the FIDE community. And we're looking forward to what comes next because we've worked really hard for this and I'm pretty psyched. So until then, everybody take care of each other. Have a great weekend and see you on the next one. All right.